Hello there, I'm Nancy Armstrong. I volunteered here at Darts for over 20 years, so I had the pleasure of knowing Francisca and can say some things about her that I know are actually true because I knew her. I'm here today to invite you into the house for a virtual tour as we walk around. The property was purchased in 1943 and they cleared it for several years. And then in 1947, the house was finally built, although it wasn't finished when they moved into it. Before that time, they had a tin trailer that they lived in, and then her father built the shack for them. Part of the unfinished house was the fact that there were no stairs to the basement, and the kitchen sink arrived some time afterwards. I never could figure out how she could have done dishes without a kitchen sink. But the cabinets and everything were there, and as you look at them, you can see that it's you're just like you walked in from 1947. Originally, there was no water from the city, so the way they had water, they had used a dowser, and if you look down into the field, you can even see where the water was discovered. And then, of course, they also had no plumbing, so they used a septic field, which was right outside the window. The gardener always said that he thought that that was why the oak tree got so huge. Now we're in the breakfast area. For those of you that have been around long enough to know, this is very unusual to have such a big space for a breakfast area. And that's because originally the wall was here, and the deck actually continued from here. And of course, in order to do this, it actually changed the pitch of the roof as well. We have a photograph of the house in '48, and there's no date on the next one, but we would assume that it must have happened in the 1950s. And it probably was because by this time, Francisca was starting to build a very large library collection. And so she's able to have shelving here, but also a lot more shelving there and around the corner. So Francisca has a very large collection with a lot of quite unusual books. She used to take trips to other countries to see their gardens. If she couldn't just travel to there are actually books that deal with gardens in other countries that she could find out about. She was also very interested in what very important gardeners had done. And then the other area that is a very extensive area is about specific kinds of plants, all the different plants that she was interested in. In 1947, when they were going to build the house, Francisca and Edwin hired an architect. And because there was an architect, there were quite unusual features for a house that's built in 1947, particularly the floor-to-ceiling windows. They intended to build the house actually out at the head of the driveway, which is a rather typical way of farmhouses were done. The architect pointed out if they built it here, that they would be able to see this magnificent view, which I'm sure in '47 was, but it's kind of full of trees now, so you can't see it as well as it could have been then. All of the furniture is the original furniture, and it certainly shows that they weren't house proud, just like the kitchen does, because nothing was changed. So like the back of the couch, the cat scratched and it's still sitting there. The furniture actually in the dining room and any of the chairs in addition to the dining room or out in the hall, these all come from Holland. Francisca's father, not only did he build houses, but he also did carving. So there's some carved pieces that he did. This is the largest portion of Francisca's library. The ones that are in there, including the Encyclopedia Britannica, are a variety of topics that she was interested in. Pocket university, college readings in English prose, but also women in modern adventure. She was a feminist ahead of her time. I'm sure she would have been out marching. I've set this room, which was their bedroom, up as a museum, where we have an opportunity to show all the different things that Francisca and Edwin were involved in, particularly Francisca, because her interests were diverse. She was a champion curler, and I don't know when you started He started curling, but you don't become a champion overnight. So she obviously started curling before 1967. But whenever she got involved in it, she got totally involved. So, like for example, with curling, she and another woman wrote the Constitution for the women to be able to join the curling club. Well, these are some of her trophies from curling. And the curling brooms are quite different now than what they are then, but actually they used to be straw brooms. They really were brooms, quite different than the way they are now. Then in 1955, she opened the Canadian Kennel Club, and what she raised was Shelties. If you're going to sell Shelties, then you have to show them. So there's over 100 ribbons that she won, and then these are trophies also. Our thinking when we set this up as a bedroom was the hope that perhaps at some point that maybe somebody from Kew Gardens or one of the important gardens in the world might want to come and visit, and that they could actually stay in the house. You can't name a plant for yourself. Somebody has to name it for you. So Alan Cook, who is called the guru of rhododendrons, was a very close friend of Francisca's and Edwin's. He actually named 2 different rhododendrons. One is for rhododendron Ed Darts, and the other one is rhododendron Francisca Darts. And those rhododendrons actually are down in bed 50 if you want to see them. I've certainly enjoyed taking you around the house. I hope you've enjoyed it too. I'll tell you that Edwin died in 1994 and Francisca died in 2012, although she wasn't living in the house. But she had gone into care the last few years of her life. I do hope that if you've been interested from what you've seen from the video, that you might want to come to visit the house, and you'd be very welcome. But you have to be a member in order to come to the house. So please take out a membership, and we'll be glad to see you. So goodbye.